In the first year of existence, the Air Jordan made over $100 million in sales.
By the end of the 1980s, after the release of 3 more Air Jordan editions, sales passed $500 million. So by 1993, the gold rush was on. Every shoe company needed a basketball star to stay in business, and every basketball star had to have their own shoe to stand out.
Nobody needed to stand out more than Phoenix Suns star Fred Gentle.
My name is, Fred Gentle.
Fred, a lot of folks at home, they don't know much about you other than your face, which has almost no features. I want you to really wow this crowd with a fun fact about yourself.
No one's ever wanted to know anything about me before. Let's see. I write with my right hand, but I cut my steak with my left hand.
That's a terrible anecdote. Try again.
I have a personal computer. I just found out I can type 71 words per minute.
Come on, give me something interesting. What's your favorite color?
Pass.
Well, that's it. I'm cutting this interview 9 minutes early. We'll be back with a more interesting guest, Alan Greenspan.
Fred Gentle is the most boring player in basketball history.
Wait, 71 words a minute? Damn, that's actually pretty good.
Is it? I mean, that's not even a word a second.
How many seconds do you think are in a minute?
Well, judging by your tone, it's less than 71.
So the most boring basketball player in history needed to be remembered. And it was an impossible task that set him on a collision course with a truly mad shoe scientist and his dangerous ideas.
This shoe would go down in infamy as one of the most consequential shoes of all time.
An unholy terror that remains the most devastating single misfortune in the history of Phoenix professional sports.
This is A Closer Look.
Fred Gentle was born on tax day, April 15th, 1968, in Plain Bagel, Maryland. His father, Gub, died 2 months after he was born, due to an illness developed from his job as a county clerk. He wrote so much stuff down at work that the ink got into his blood and he just died. That's the exact text of Gub Gentle's obituary.
His mother, Charlize Gentle, convinced that the outside world was too dangerous, kept Fred in a plastic bubble until his 12th birthday. Still convinced the outside world would destroy her son, Charlize Gentle began collecting guns and kept the now 6'7" 12-year-old locked in the house. His only form of entertainment being her Agatha Christie novels and pre-Tiger Woods golf. Speaking of golf, Nate told me the other day that golf courses are unethical, and I thought, that doesn't sound right.
But even 4 walls and a roof couldn't prevent a star as bright as Fred from being discovered. And eventually, some of Fred's neighbors mounted a rescue mission to get him out of the house and into basketball. One of these neighbors would go on to be his first coach, Ben Balloon.
You guys wanted to talk to me about who?
Fred Gentle.
Yeah, that name doesn't ring a bell.
You mean the 6'8" all-star basketball player from your town of 3,000 doesn't sound familiar?
Oh, right, Fred Gentle. Duh.
You were the head of the rescue mission, more kidnapping for Fred.
Yeah, we only tried one thing. My cousin Ernst Balloon Hitler, yes relation, wanted to dig a tunnel from my house to Fred's house. We dug about 30 feet down into the earth. But at 30 feet, Ernst stuck the shovel down and he penetrated into the hollow earth, it turned out, and he fell 8,000 miles to the bottom of the planet.
Jesus.
What? Why didn't you tell anyone?
Well, right after that happened, I met Fred, and our 30-minute conversation was so boring that my brain made me forget everything I had done that week up until just now. Oh, God. Ernst.
After that, Charlize finally relented with one condition, that she would be at Fred's side constantly and act as his representation in all matters and pretty much always talk for him.
She would remain right next to him up to high school and during his remarkable career as a 3-time All-American at UNLV.
Not the school in Vegas, no. Fred played at the University of North Leesburg, Virginia, home of the Fighting Innkeepers.
After 3 years at UNLV, he declared for the 1988 NBA draft.
Multiple articles were written by journalists in the lead up to the draft. Fred Gentle was a true all-around star who would step into almost any team and be their best player. It would be a fireable mistake if a general manager didn't draft him with their first-round pick.
we were able to track down the broadcast of the night of the 1988 draft.
Folks, I've never seen anything like this. We are 11 picks into the first round, and the slam dunk, no doubt about it, best player is still on the board.
That's right, Fred Gentle remains undrafted. Folks, yesterday I wrote a column for Sports Illustrated where I said, quote, if the San Antonio Spurs don't draft Fred Gentle first overall, their GM should be put on the Challenger. And the Challenger is already blown up by this point in 1988, so in this metaphor, we would have to make an entirely new Challenger and blow that up too, unquote.
We have the GM for the Sacramento Kings on the phone, and we're going to find out why they also passed on the generational talent with the 10th overall pick.
Jack, we gotta know, why not pick Fred Gentle?
Guys, it was Fred Gentle. Fuck me, Fred Gentle, duh.
Well, it looks like the Challenger 2 is going to be filled with 11, possibly 12 GMs unless the Washington Bullets can draft Fred Gentle. We go live. With the 12th pick, the Washington Bullets select... What the hell? This is a lot of text. The tall white guy with like a crew cut, blonde hair. Come on, you know who we're talking about. I don't know what color his eyes are. I think they're like brown. Shit, the card guy is saying I have to give him the card. Fucking Frank Geronimo. Please tell me there's someone in the draft named Frank Geronimo.
So Washington forfeited their pick.
It wasn't until the 19th pick that Fred was finally selected by the Phoenix Suns.
We're live with Phoenix GM Dean Pond. Dean, how did you remember to draft Fred Gentle?
I mean, we were practically throwing a party when we found out how far Fred Gentle had fallen. And yet, somehow, by the time our pick came around, I'd forgotten about him again.
But surely someone on your staff remembered.
Nope, nobody. I was on the way to deliver a different pick when I saw my shoe was untied. And when I sat down to tie it in a chair I thought was empty, I accidentally sat in Fred Gentle's lap. How did Fred Gentle react to the pick? Who? Hey, Joey, who did we end up picking? Did we draft Mark Jackson?
The draft was an eye-opening experience for Charlize Gentle. Her son faced serious threats to his career because of how boring he was.
His game was complete. It was flawless. He could be a Hall of Famer, but not if he had no fame.
So Charlize set about making her son famous. She began calling big Hollywood agencies to see if Fred could get into any TV shows and movies. None of them knew who she was talking about. Eventually, she started going through every single consumer product in her house and calling corporate headquarters to see if they wanted a great athlete to do their commercials.
Her goal? Associate Fred with something so catchy, so earwormy, that it would make the name Fred Gentle almost impossible to forget. So she tried what Michael Jordan would succeed at 3 years later with the Like Mike campaign. She tried to get Fred a jingle.
It clearly didn't do the job. In fact, it's almost impossible to find, but we managed to track down the master track and will now listen to it live with you, the audience, for the first time.
He's posted up on the Blockbuster. Lay up on the couch and watch a slam dunk movie with Fred Gentle.
No.
Dude, we have to call him. We need someone who was there.
Fuck no, dude, no, I'm serious. I'm not gonna do it. He's so annoying.
Hey, Money, it's Will.
This is the voicemail of Money McDonald's, famous funk disco singer from the 70s and major part of the first 2 seasons of A Closer Look podcast. I don't really have time right now. You'll have to schedule something with my secretary.
Phew. Wow.
Psych! Just kidding, I love you guys. I have an open door policy. Like China. Or my bathroom.
I'm leaving, bye!
Oh, Nate had to go, that's sad. What's Nate's address? I was in Mecca and I found a caftan that is so him.
It's, I actually don't know. Damn, are me and Nate even friends?
So you had some questions for me?
Yeah. So you were on set for the Fred Gentle injury at the Blockbuster commercial, correct?
Of course I was. It was 1988. The singer of the jingle was always on set.
What happened?
Well, you see, we had a bunch of VHS tapes on set, and I took out all the magnetic tape. I thought it would really add something if I started putting the tape on my pet gibbon Alistair's favorite leather jacket in a sort of frill situation. So I left all that tape in the one spot where I wouldn't forget it, which was all over the floor, and that big Paul Funyan boy slid on it and snapped his ankle.
Well, thanks for clearing that up, Money. We have to go interview someone else now.
No problem. I'll see you next time you two are in a jam creatively and need to get out of it while also being funny.
After Fred lost his first season to injury, his mother knew that he was at risk of fading into obscurity, so she decided to do something big.
The biggest thing an athlete could do in 1989 was release a signature shoe. Vineyard Vines was trying to get into sports back then, so they partnered with Fred and released his first signature shoe.
Fred had a hand in the design, or should we say, a foot in the design.
The shoe was called Foot. Fred came up with that. From the press release, quote, "I like my foot. I can use it to move and play basketball. This shoe is for the same purpose. You should buy some Foots."
Yes, he refers to a set of the shoes as foots, not feet, foots.
Foots were only sold in one color, flesh color, the color of Fred's foot. From the press release, "This is the first shoe that gives you the experience of being a foot."
A billboard went up in Times Square featuring Fred Gentle dressed up like an astronaut. The tagline read, "This is one small step for a man and two shoes that you can buy."
If you can believe this, Fred didn't sell any. Or rather, he sold one pair, to Fred Gentle. And Fred used those Foots to play incredibly.
Fred's sophomore season was on paper electric. He averaged 28.7 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. He missed the last 10 games of the season after one of his teammates dropped a 90-pound dumbbell on his foot, thinking it was the floor, resulting in multiple broken bones. At the end of the year, Fred was crushed to find out that he received 0 MVP votes. The writing was on the wall. No matter how well Fred played on the court, nobody would give him the recognition that he deserved, or even the recognition that a janitor or bellboy deserved.
Actually, he did get the recognition a bellboy deserved. One time after he scored a triple-double, a fan left a $5 bill on his seat.
Charlize took that 5 from Fred, as she did all of his league minimum salary, and spent it on a peanut dinner for her and her son. Fred made the league minimum for 4 more seasons, despite being one of the game's best statistical players.
By 1992, he was a year away from the end of his rookie contract. No other teams responded to Charlize's phone calls, so she settled for a 2-year extension, again at league minimum. It was only enough to buy Charlize the occasional AK-47 or Uzi.
And Fred's chances for stardom dwindled even further when the Suns traded for charismatic superstar Charles Barkley.
We wanted to know more about Fred and Charles's relationship, so we decided to call Charles Barkley.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did. We set aside time. We can call him right now.
No, we talked about this. We are not. Charles is not available to us right now.
What about next Friday?
He's very busy that day too. We are not able to talk to him.
You don't think we're good enough to do it? Like, I get he's famous and all, but I think I would leave a good impression on Charles. I know for a fact I can, actually.
It would not go over well.
You don't think our fans would like it?
Oh, no, I know for a fact our fans would love if we interviewed Charles Barkley on our show. They would eat it up, but it's everybody else I'm worried about. Me, personally, I am on the fence, but I am going to err on the side of caution.
All right.
Where were we?
I don't know, fucking something about his mom, I guess.
So with the trade for Barkley, Charlize was again desperate, both for money to fund her gun collection and fame for her son. And that desperation led her into the clutches of one Dr. Zohan Zohan.
Hey guys, we're back.
It's been pretty close to 2 years since our last season, and there's a few reasons for that. Actually, there's one. We are broke.
In order to make more money, I started a new time management system where I had to spend my time in proportion to how much money each task could make me. I wrote for 3 seconds a day.
And I spent most of my free time training for an ultra marathon. And then I ran half of one and then got lost for about a year.
After I picked Will up from the Paraguayan Coast Guard, we decided we needed our number one priority to be you give us money.
Give us money.
And the 1B of that is new episodes of A Closer Look.
This podcast is our favorite thing in the world to do.
Our only goal in life is to do this full-time while being able to pay rent and maybe get married and have kids, unless that gets in the way of the pod. That's where you guys come in.
By visiting today's sponsor, our Patreon, patreon.com/A Closer Look, and using the promo code Give Us Money.
Give us money. For just $5 a month, you'll have access to all our audio output in perpetuity. And for $10 a month, you'll get access to so much more.
Here's what we promise. Consistency. No more disappearing for 2 years. We will give you episodes a month, all on different subjects.
These Patreon-exclusive episodes will cover real stories from the past, present, and future of sports. And if enough people give us money, we can cover more subjects like important events or things women will like. And we'll keep them coming.
No more coming up with an idea that is good enough to start but not good enough to finish, disappearing for a few months, lying to your friends that you've got big things coming, all while falling in love with online poker.
We're going to release 12-episode seasons of A Closer Look forever, punctuated by vacations to our friend's Lake Tahoe house that he didn't invite us to and that we break into.
But as soon as we shake the cops in Reno, it's back to LA for another 12-episode season.
The catch is, making these episodes costs money. A medium amount of money.
If you give us money, we will also pay our guests when they come on to do a voice. All the guests we had on last year opted for future favors, and if I have to go to one more short story reading at a wine bar, I will slit my own throat.
When we were releasing seasons 1 and 2, people would often ask us, why don't you make a Patreon? If you tell us, give us money, we'll do it.
And the real answer to that is that we would feel bad if someone signed up at the beginning of the season, got 2 months worth of content, and then forgot to unsubscribe in the off-season and gave us like $80 on accident without realizing it.
I would dig up my kitchen and bury that money under my floorboards and kill myself because I could hear the money's heartbeat. But now when you give us money, you won't get just a season of the podcast. If you give us money, you're also going to get
bonus appendix episodes going on tangents about random crap in the previous episode,
mailbag episodes,
comedic short stories,
super secret upcoming video projects.
We'll stream online poker for a lot of cash, and me and Nate work together as one hive mind player, and you can watch us fight.
Our playing styles differ.
Once you give us money, we'll also make merch.
Imagine showing up to the local disco or Cinematheque wearing a Lower Manhattan Gambinos shirt. You'll be Mr.
or Mrs.
Getting laid.
They'll call you Grover Beveland.
Getting pussy in non-consecutive terms. So please, give us money. Subscribe to our Patreon.
For a few dollars a month, you can give us money. And make A Closer Look never end again.
A Closer Look Patreon. Give us money. Give us money. Give us money. Give us money. Give us money.
Dr. Zohan Zohan was a quack. Quack is a province in Moldova that he came from. He was also insane.
He was a real nutty professor. Unfortunately, he was fired from the prestigious James T. Nutty University in southern Alabama in 1985 due to his affinity for costly, bizarre experiments.
He was finally fired after one of these experiments in creating a new type of rubber, which both rendered a few acres of Alabama inhospitable to all life and landed him a job at Nike.
Normally in America, it's very hard to find work if you're a scientist with a checkered past, but Nike had been searching for evil substances for years.
Zohan was given carte blanche to develop any new type of experimental shoes for Nike. But over the course of 2 years, the only thing he produced was a steady plume of sulfuric smoke from his wing of the laboratory. We spoke to a coworker at Nike named Dr. Alfred Yadier Molina.
Yeah, it was like a hot box in there. Only instead of weed smoke, it was flammable sulfur. When I came home from work, I looked like a coal miner. It really made our jobs a lot harder because we weren't allowed to use any open flames or the place would blow up. So the rest of us scientists got really good at ping pong.
Did you ever see him inside his office? What was he working on?
No, we were pretty dialed in at the ping pong. But one time one of the balls rolled under the door, and when I walked over to get it, I started hearing Geiger counter noises coming from the fillings in my teeth. So we declared that ball lost at sea.
Did you ever see Fred Gentle at the laboratory?
I saw a 6'9" guy in a hazmat suit go in one time. That could have been him. At the time, I thought it was one of the Anubises I kept seeing. Anyway, a few weeks later, Fred Gentle's mom came by, smoked us in ping pong, and went into Zohan's lab. I heard about 30 seconds of maniacal laughter coming from the both of them, and then a bunch of the cash register cha-ching noises. You know, like the beginning of Money by Pink Floyd.
Later that day, Nike announced the upcoming release of Fred Gentle's new shoe, the Basilica.
We were all confused about the name, but Dr. Zohan told us it was some kind of historical reference. I don't know how well-read you guys are.
I'm extremely well read. Go on.
Yeah, he said that the Basilica was named after the colossal bombard cannon developed by the Ottoman Empire to break down the walls of Constantinople in 1453. He said that a focus group came up with it. I don't think that's true.
The lab notes taken from Dr. Zohan's office gave us some clues, but not many, as to how the Basilica came to be.
He picked up where he left off in Alabama, using a large personal stash of radioactive material and chemically combining it with the rubber used in sneakers.
But Charlize Gentle made it clear to Zohan that this shoe both needed to sell, but also make sure that Fred's feet were never injured again.
So Zohan created a shoe that used microscopic organisms that fed off the chemical compounds found in common rubber. This organic material, infused with the rubber, created a malleable material that resulted in an extremely comfortable and protective substance. If you're a scientist listening to this podcast right now, shut the fuck up and get back to work.
Zohan's coworkers would sometimes hear him refer to the living compound he had developed years prior, but we couldn't figure out what that was. We decided to dig a little deeper into Zohan's past. We attempted to contact Zohan's former employer, James T. Nutty University in Alabama, for some answers.
But James T. Nutty University was gone.
Not disbanded or defunded. Gone.
The last mention of James T. Nutty University was in a press release from 1987. The press release is rushed, rambling, and unprofessional, full of spelling errors. It's like Will wrote it.
What the hell?
Quote, "We disbanded. We're done forever. Turns out we were a Ponzi scheme, and we ripped everybody off. Your degrees were fake. Sorry, don't come after us." Unquote.
And none of that is true. They were a completely legitimate college with strong research programs.
But they really wanted everyone to stop thinking about them. Quote, "We've all fled the country or are dead, so there's no point in trying to get revenge on us. And whatever you do, don't go to latitude 33.567676, longitude negative 86.064607. There's absolutely nothing there. It is not safe." 3 exclamation points. Signed, Dean Martin.
So wait, his last name was Martin, and he was the dean. His real name wasn't Dean Martin, right?
No.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say.
His first name was Sinatra. Sinatra Martin.
Okay. We went to those coordinates in Alabama, deep in the middle of the Choco Loco Wildlife Management Area. Real place.
And what we found was surprising.
Not the smoldering, irradiated pit. That kind of thing is becoming de rigueur to us at this point.
But there was a man living there. 81-year-old Sinatra Martin, wearing a hazmat suit, riding a dirt bike.
Hello, sir.
Could you please turn down the Megadeth?
What's up, pushy-getters? Welcome to the pit.
You're Dean Martin?
That's my government name. My homies call me Sludge.
Aren't you 81? You're incredibly active and virile.
Well, I've been living at this here pit for 35 years, receiving a constant low-grade dose of radiation, which it turns out is good for you in small doses, like the sun or indica.
Why are you here?
Well, I let some not chill shit happen on my watch when I was the dean, and so the man said I either go to jail or patrol this land and make sure no one comes around. But they never told me I couldn't turn it into the sickest place in the world. I got ramps and...
Yeah, holy shit, is that a monster truck?
Yeah, I call it the suck shed, 'cause I'm always getting dome in dirt.
For some reason, we feel compelled to mention there's no one around here for miles.
Dean Martin lives in a tent with an outhouse next to a vast black pit with patches of lava in it.
We actually came to ask you about Dr. Zohan and his experiments.
Ah, yeah, dude. Big Z was a chiller for sure, but he was always up to some sketchy shit. I sort of let him run hog wild, and it got a little out of hand.
What kind of experiments was he doing?
Basically, he came to me and said he needed uranium for some tests. And I was all, shit, Captain, I'll get you uranium anytime for science shit. All you gotta do is buy me a rack of Keystone. But pretty quickly after that, he blew up the lab and created this federally designated wasteland.
Wait, is this air hazardous? Is there uranium in it?
Oh, we wish it was just uranium, slut. Zohan was real interested in seeing how different types of single-cell organisms react to extreme radioactivity. You know, there are a lot of molecular-level creatures that are very genetically different from the amoeba that evolved into shit like us. Things like viruses, real nasty beans. Dean had a whole colony of something, living on a patch of rubber, getting swole on uranium pellets. We tried heating the rubber up real hot to see how they reacted, and not good. It defended itself, pushed all the heat right back at us, lit everything in a fire that burned for decades. But this irradiated waste is top shelf biking dirt, bro. Real powder.
Dean proceeded to do a bunch of extremely impressive jumps and tricks in the pit.
As he drove off a jump past us, he kicked up a clump of sludge that landed on the grass right next to us.
In seconds, the sludge burned through the grass and a few inches of Nate's shoe. Miraculously, Nate was uninjured because it turns out he's wearing shoes that are like 3 sizes too big.
Hey, this isn't about my shoes. Shut up. This is about Fred Gentle's shoes. The year is 1993, and Fred Gentle has arrived at the arena for the opening game of the season, climbing out of his mom's Volvo on opening day, wearing his new shoes, the Basilicas.
The crowd is silent. Not like before because they didn't notice Fred. They noticed him all right. It's a stunned silence. The Basilica shoe is black, but not like any black we know, not charcoal black or matte black. It's black due to the absence of light, like the black sun during an eclipse.
Hold on a second. As the shoe grows nearer to you, its shape begins to change. Or maybe your eyes are playing tricks on you. It's expanding, then contracting, shifting to the left, now changing color. You can see yourself in it for a second, then an older version of yourself. It starts to disintegrate, then reforms itself with each step. It's a dark gray cloud that somehow shimmers, and when you look closely, you swear you can make out a gooey black tendril reaching down to the ground as Fred Gentle takes a step, then receding back into the cloud.
In shock, someone in the crowd drops a beer bottle that rolls right into Fred Gentle's path. He hasn't noticed this. He's busy eating a bread sandwich. But the shoe notices the bottle, and all at once seems to part itself around and over the bottle, planting Fred's foot away from its rolling path.
Nike's official press release doesn't help us understand the Basilica more. Phrases like the horror and the unknowable show up throughout the press release instead of the shoe's name.
But damn, if Fred Gentle didn't kick ass in them.
And Gentle rises up from 3. It's good. 56 points for Gentle tonight. He has been flawless. And as I say that, Gentle steals the ball and misses the layup. Well, maybe not perfect, I say, as I lightly criticize. I apologize to Fred Gentle and his shoes. I don't know what I was thinking.
Fred was all anyone could talk about when they could talk. At the NBA draft, no one in the league could remember Fred Gentle's name. Now, anyone who turned on ESPN would immediately hear about Fred Gentle. And soon, everyone in America would know Fred Gentle's name, no matter how badly they wanted to forget. We wanted to know what his teammates thought of the shoe,
And now would be a good time to talk to Charles Barkley. But I know we can't.
Thank you, Nate.
But there's other people from the Suns we've found, so we'll talk to assistant GM Horst Ingeborson.
Oh, wait, is he on the list? I must have missed that. Hi, Mr. Ingeborson?
Good morning, Skinny.
God damn it.
I beg your pardon? The hell are you talking about, boy?
Boy, Jesus Christ.
Come on, man. Where's this animosity coming from?
Nate, stop.
Nate, I'm Horst Ingeborson from Sweden.
Okay. Well, Horst, I guess my first question now is, did it ever cause any problems with your career that you, as a man who looks like you, has a very similar speaking voice to Charles Barkley? Did it perhaps rub any important people the wrong way, hindering your progress and possibly the progress of, I don't know, a coworker who sort of hitched his wagon to you creatively?
No, nobody ever had a problem with it. I think maybe you worrying on that might be some kind of unfounded fear of yours that is in no way based in reality. And something you should probably get over on your own and stop letting it affect on your work.
Whatever. Can you answer the following in rapid succession? How did the team respond to the Basilica shoe? Did you guys know at this point that something might be wrong with the shoes? And if so, how did Nike react to your concerns?
That's a big-ass block of questions you just asked me. Big block of questions, like those big women down there in San Antonio.
Okay, see, that's just something Charles Barkley says.
I don't know what you're talking about. That is a Horst Ingeborson original. San Antonio is where my family is from in Sweden. Everybody there is fat as hell. They be wolfing them churros in Sweden.
Okay, Jesus. All right, we're done. Is that the last scene of the episode? Are we ending on that?
That's what the script says.
Shit, why didn't we just end the episode a few pages ago with everybody will be talking about him for the wrong reasons? That was perfect.
Honestly, dude, why don't we just run it back?
Like, just repeat it?
Yeah, it's our fucking podcast.
Yeah, you're right.
Fred was all anyone could talk about when they could talk. At the NBA draft, no one in the league could remember Fred Gentle's name. Now, anyone who turned on ESPN would immediately hear about Fred Gentle. And soon, everyone in America would know Fred Gentle's name, no matter how badly they wanted to forget.